Welcome to the Iconics BizViz video guide. This video discusses how to create custom tasks, which can then be incorporated into BridgeWorX.
BridgeWorX allows you to move your data back and forth into different data sources. What makes BridgeWorX even more powerful is its capability to extend it by writing custom tasks. A custom task is a DLL which exposes some public methods that you can call from BridgeWorX. And what is written inside the code, it's totally up to you. You are completely free to let it do whatever you want. In this video we will see how we can create a very simple custom task from scratch. So first of all we need to start Visual Studio. And from here we will create a new project and we will set it as class library and we will call it BWX custom task, and we can store it in the default location. The first thing we have to do from here, you can eventually change the name of the class, create a new class with your own name. We will leave the default option. One of the first things you need to do is to add a reference to a BridgeWorX file, which is located under the BridgeWorX folder. And you can find it in C, Program Files, Iconics, BizViz, BridgeWorX, BridgeWorX Services. And it is called BridgeWorX Custom Task Bridge. The second thing you may want to do is to add a default icon to your DLL. We will need this later. So you can go into Resources, add a default resource file. From here select Icons, add a resource. You can just call it icon. And you can customize this if you want, or you can leave it as is. We save this and we go back to our class. Now, our class will need to implement an interface which is defined in the file that we have just imported. That interface is called echo BWX custom iBWX custom task. And we use the option to implement the interface automatically. So Visual Studio will create all the methods for us. Now, in this video we will use a very basic implementation where we will not implement too much. We will just have like some basic values. For example, this method is used to get the company name. I will just return it in this way. So it's very basic implementation. To get the custom icon we will use what we just created, which is available in the resources class as the icon. The full assembly name can be returned in this way. Assembly dot get executing assembly dot full name. Now, for the last error I will create a variable which is a string variable. And I will also create a transaction status variable which I will need shortly. Transaction status, which by default is the fail status. So to return the last error I will return my variable. The product name can be my custom task. The last operation status is the other variable we have just created. For the custom configuration data it is enough to return true for now, while for the show custom config dialog, we can return config dialog code not implemented. This is if you want to provide your own custom dialog. Now, this is the basic implementation that we had to do. The last thing we want to do is to create the actual method that we will call. So, it has to return a data set, and we can call it custom method. It has no input parameter. And from here, what we have to do is to prepare the data that we want to return. So we start with the empty data set, and we prepare a data row to work with. So we will wrap everything inside a try-catch block. Exception X. New data set, whose name is return data. Then we create a data table, which we call dt return data dot tables dot add result set. Then we also add some columns. First one we call it key, and the second one we call it value. So we have these key pair, like key values, where we will put a name and a value of what we need. Now we have to set the data type for these as well. So for key, data type, we set system type, get type, system.string. This will be just a text label identifying our variable name. The other one, which is value, will be an integer. We will just return a simple integer as the output of our method. So let's create a new row, and we will put something in here. So the label can just be an hard-coded value, and forgot the index here. And as the numerical value to return, I will return the current number of seconds, so that we know this is something that changes continuously. It is just to test the output. No rows.add, and we add the work row we just created. Okay, so should be all set here. Okay, we have an error here, which I need to fix. Then, okay, after we have added our row, we need to set the last transaction status to transaction status succeeded. And then we just have to handle the catch block in case there is any problem. So, first of all, if the return data is not null, we clear it. And then we set it to null. And then, because we had some issues running this custom task, we want to notify BridgeWorX that the status is failed. And if we also have an error message, we can use it in here. Okay, so let's try to build the project and see if I made everything correct. Okay, of course, I just forgot to return the value, the output value. So we can put it in here, return data. Okay, now we're all set. We have just built our custom task, and we can get that DLL and put in a place where we can use it from BridgeWorX. So we go into the bin folder, debug, and we can take this DLL, which is what we have just produced. So we will need to put it into this folder, which is under Program Files, Iconics, Bitswitch, BridgeWorX, Custom Assemblies. We will copy it in here, and then we can go in the BridgeWorX configurator and use it from one of our diagrams. So I've just created one simple transaction based on this diagram, which is still empty so far. So I can run the diagram designer. And I have to select the custom task block, put it in here, double click on it to configure it. So we can leave all of these at the default value, that's fine. And in the custom task properties we can browse for the custom assembly, and we have put it into this folder, so we can open it from here, click on OK. And as you can see, here there is our method, which is the one we have implemented. Doesn't need any input, so we don't need to specify anything here, but we want to put its output somewhere. So you know that we have created the data set with 2 columns. So we will specify column 1 here, and we will bind it to an integer variable because we are returning an int. Row index is 0, that's correct. Okay, all seems okay. So we can validate our transaction, save it, and exit. And we can also schedule our transaction to run every 5 seconds. We still have to mark the transaction as enabled. Then we can click on apply, and we should be all set. Right now the transaction is running, our custom task should be running, at least we will verify it now, and if everything is working fine, BridgeWorX is right now calling our DLL, getting the output and copying it into an OPC variable. So to see if it is actually working, we will use GraphWorks now. We can get a process point, put it on the page. This is the address of the variable where we are writing the value, and let's go into runtime mode and see what's in there. So as you can see, there is a number in here which is the current second of the current date and time, and it is updating every 5 seconds because we have specified a trigger for the transaction to run it every 5 seconds. So this is it about our example, and as you can see right now we are putting here a very simple value which is taken from the system clock, but it could have been anything coming from any kind of complex algorithm that you may want to write. So if you use this system, you can get the data from anywhere you want, because you can write your custom code which literally gets the data from anywhere. And you can use this system to take that data, which could be, for example, some custom data, some data that is in a proprietary format that we cannot access, and you can copy it into an OPC variable, or you may want to put it into a database. Or using BridgeWorX, you can also create a complex transaction where the values coming from your DLL is used, for example, as the input for a web services, which is exposed over the web. And then you may take the output from that web service and use it in another BridgeWorX block. So this custom task really enhance what you can do with BridgeWorX, expanding the possibilities of what you can achieve with it.